Welcome back to the Rise and Shine show. So happy to be here, and I'm really happy to be here with a friend today. I have Lindsey here today. She's someone who you always know she's in the room because she's usually laughing. She just radiates so much warmth and joy. It's just one of those people who makes everything feel a lot lighter. And this is Lindsey. So hello, Lindsey.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. I wanted to have Lindsey on because she really follows her bliss. And I think that's something we strive to do in this world is just follow our hearts, follow what brings us joy. And it's not always easy. And it's not always just because you have like this perfect life. And I think sometimes from the outside perspective, when we see people living in their bliss and following their joy and kind of living these neat lives, that are a little different and dynamic, you think like, oh, lucky for them, lucky them. They get to do that, right? But I think it's a lot more than luck. She really brings beauty and intention into everything she does, as was what I see. But what I really love about Lindsey is just her heart. She's one of those people who is just very genuine. She cares a lot about her friends and the people she loves, and it really shows. She's super loyal and just grounded and in a very loving way. She and her husband have made a powerful decision to get sober together. Their story of reconnection and growth and deepening love is a really incredible story. She's been married for a long time. And I mean, I know I've been married. I know it's not easy. And so I'm excited to chat with her about that. Navigating challenges just as a mom, especially when things don't go as you expect them to do. Being a mom is already challenging, and we're going to talk about that. And we're also going to talk about just what she's up to in life, because, like I said, she's like likes a lot of different things. She is a wardrobe stylist. She's an organizer of space, of closets, and she's also an instructor, a fitness instructor. So she's always got a lot of different things going on. So we're just going to check in with Lindsey today and kind of see what she's up to and have some talks about all that. So good morning, Lindsey.
Good morning.
Being here. I know it's kind of hard to get on here. We do this early and it's a lot. So I really appreciate you being here. How are you feeling about being here today?
I'm excited. And that just like choked me up a little bit, all those things that you were saying at the beginning. Because it's what I strive to be. And so to hear it back to me feels really good.
I so get that. I hear you. It's like it's more than a compliment, right? It's like you're literally speaking my heart right now. And
Yeah.
uh
Yeah,
good, good. So for anyone who doesn't know yet, tell us a little bit about just what you do. Yeah, you've got an incredible gift for creating spaces that feel good. I think you appreciate beauty. Tell
I
us
do.
about that.
um, yeah, I just like things all around me to be pretty.
Yeah, who doesn't?
um, and just I'm a really visual person, so even in my space in my home, I like it to be aesthetically pleasing when I look around. I can sometimes get a little I don't like clutter all around. I just notice for me too that when I look around and I'm like, "Oh god, that space is like needs help." Then it just like creates this anxiety and stress inside of me. And so I try to limit that wherever I can because there's a lot of stuff in life that you don't have any control over. So the things that I do, I try and make them pretty.
That's interesting because I think like sometimes when you think of organizers or people that like to approach those type of cluttered corners, they tend to be like these very I always imagine them as like these type A organized people. Would
Not
you
me.
relate to that?
That is not me.
So yeah, it's like more about like almost like a way for you to just feel good in general. Like it's almost like a coping skill.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it is a coping skill. And also that you brought that up, it's like, my like ADD I've had forever. Well, I mean, I was probably born with it, but I didn't get diagnosed with it until 15. But so there's a lot of stuff that just like on a daily basis that can be a struggle, like remembering my keys, where did I put my purse, where's my phone?
Yeah,
And so like with like making the things pretty and keeping things cleaned out and organized, like that's my way of taking back control and like my power. Because
yeah,
a lot of times throughout the day, I can almost feel a little powerless in my ADD, you know?
yeah. I wonder how common that is to for ADD because I relate with that a lot, ADD. But and see, I'm very overwhelmed by spaces. I do like things to be like cleared and I love to be organized, but in the way like if I was to approach somebody's pile, like I would just be like, "Oh God," I'd walk out. I'd look at it and walk around, turn and I do that in my space. She's actually been in my spaces, so she, might know that I've complained about that, just kind of feeling overwhelmed. I wonder how common that is as a to be ADD and to be able to approach major clutter and actually be able to organize it. That just
I know that is true because sometimes it can definitely, but I think just taking it like a piece at a time too,
I wonder if it
can really
helps you.
help rather than trying to, because like even in people's closets and stuff, there's that one theory where you take everything out and do it that way, like empty. I had a friend and she was doing the like Marie Kondo before I like
Mhm.
started doing the closets. And I went over and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm leaving.
It's like way too much. Like that would make me like, but when I do people's closets too, it's like I take it like a piece at a time. And
Good.
so to me, that feels a lot more manageable than just like going in and completely clearing the space. And it's kind of like one thing just leads to the next and it just kind of flows. And I feel like that's kind of how I trust in life too, is just like when you try and think about everything that like needs to be done or everything that could go wrong, or when you have like kids with health issues, if you try and, think about the future and what if this, what if that, what if this, then it's almost like paralyzed in fear. And I don't want to, like, I don't even want to go there. But like my big thing, and it's from the program too, is like getting into action. Like, what can I do right now to help this, pile that needs to be organized to deal with my child's health? Like, just biting it off a little bit at a time.
Yeah, one bite at a time, like one bite at a time in life. And it sounds like it is you being extremely present. That's your phone, huh?
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm like, excuse you.
No, I'll try and keep that on the DL.
That's what the mute button's for.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for the reminder.
Um, yeah, just like it's like almost like a meditation for you, like you being just so present with the thing in front of you right now is more manageable than like yeah, eating the entire meal in one bite, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And actually, like Karina is is ADHD as well, and she is more like organized in some ways than I am. And I always like notice that. And she says it's about her anxiety. So that does sound familiar to me, where it's like setting yourself up for success. And
Hmm.
like if I kind of like set this up in a way that lowers my anxiety, it's like really like an act of self-care. It seems like it's really like taking care of yourself in the way that you feel, knowing like if I feel good, if I organize the space, it's going to make me feel good. Uh,
Well,
but really just wanting to feel better kind of drew you to starting to organize more and actually, yeah. So what point did you decide that's something I want to help other people do? And is it the same? I know some people are like, I love organizing other people's spaces, but I can't organize my own.
no, I organize mine. So When I decided to do the personal shopping and styling, I just started that business, and then I, like, went into my closet, and I was like, "My closet's kind of a wreck." So then I, like, organized it and, made it so that I could really see things and make it pretty, and by doing that, it's like I needed to clear out, like, all the clutter in there, a step at a time. But, like, even in my closet, like, having just random stuff, I know it can happen where the closet becomes like a storage space.
Mhm.
And I really didn't want that. I wanted my space, to be just my clothes, to make it easy to get dressed and, like, have it organized. So it's like my jeans are here, my tank tops, my jackets. And so, everything's just, like, in front of me to make it easier to get dressed, because I know that can be a stressful thing. It can be for me. And then, you know, if you're going into a closet that is a disaster, then it's like even more stressful. And then you make even more of a mess because you're trying to find something. And it's even like when I go on a vacation, like I like to unpack like right away.
Mhm.
Because if I don't, then I'm just like digging for stuff and making a mess and making myself frustrated. And then, so it's like just unpack, put
Yeah.
it all away. And it's like, okay, like I need a bathing suit. It's right there, like my dresses are hung up, and my pants are here. Like it's just for me, I think once again, it is like taking back like what can I control?
Mhm.
And these are the things that I can control when there's a lot of chaos inside of my mind that I can't control. So it's like just doing these things. Um so I decided that with my styling, I like to start in people's closets because, and get them like cleared out of what no longer is working. Make a list of what items people are actually needing, so we don't just go shopping and then buy stuff they already have, or just pile more stuff in their closet, if their closet's already a mess. Like I like to start with like a fresh, clean slate and making sure that everything fits and that you like it. And I always say too, like, and I do this in my own closet, usually tops pretty much fit me no matter, like I fluctuate between, a size, a bigger size, a smaller size. And so like with my jeans, I try and keep those like whatever size I'm fitting in, I try and have that on the shelf that I like reach for. And then the ones that aren't fitting, I have them in a different area, just so it's like, I mean, of course, when jeans fit big, it's like, yay.
Yeah.
Although
Mhm.
it can still be annoying when you're like
Mhm.
trying to get dressed and you don't have much time, and then you're trying on pants and you're like, these don't fit. So I like to just put them down below, or vice versa. If you're putting on a bunch of pants and they're too tight, then it's like the rest of the day you're kind of like,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
I feel
do.
like my mood does stem a lot from like getting dressed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Or
so helpful.
or if you're like have a bunch of stuff in there, like, grandma's sweater, or, gifts that people have given you, like clothes that you never gonna wear, but you feel bad. So then it's like you walk into your closet and there's all these emotions in there, right? Like I like this space to be kind of like provoke. I know it's like the Marie Kondo or whatever, condo, whatever, but like, bring you joy.
Yeah.
But so it's like a sense of that, but I don't like touch and feel and do that. But for me, it's more of like a visual thing. Like I
Okay.
look in my closet, and it's a lot easier to go through your closet and be like, this doesn't work when it's the space is cleared out, because it's a lot easier to see. So
Like that piece versus the whole
like,
it's like, yeah,
yeah.
like one bite versus like the whole meal in one
Thing of
bite.
just like, it's too much. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna not deal with that. But if it's like everything's pretty organized and you're like, you know what, that piece is just like, like I've tried to make it work, it doesn't work, then bye.
Yeah, this is it's so interesting because it is your process, somewhat of an intuitive process, but you're really tapped into how the things are making you feel.
hmm
I love
Mhm.
that process makes like, that would make sense. That would make sense for someone who can sometimes be overwhelmed, um, and to just, like, narrow it down to, like, "I'm just gonna put this little thing in front of me and see how this one thing makes me feel."
Yeah. Yeah, I really like and then sometimes I'll go into people's closets and they start pulling other stuff from other I'm
Yeah.
like, let's just, just a little bit at a time." And like a lot of times, like each piece has a story, right? Like, oh, I wore this to my high school. And I'm like, okay, but you're 40.
Yeah.
If it's really, really that special, like we can make a little get rid of anything that they don't want to get rid of, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I'm not in there to tell you what you should get rid of and what you shouldn't. Like
Yeah.
if you love it, then keep
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna be like, even if it's horrible, but if you love it, then keep it and rock it. Cause that's the most thing that matters, is you and how you feel when you wear it.
How does that make you feel when you're walking other people through this? It must be kind of a journey to walk other people through that process. Like you said, everything does have a story. And I know when I'm not tackling a project, I'm avoiding a project, usually that means it's probably like loaded in some way. And
Mhm.
so now we're unloading it and you're present for that.
Mhm.
How's that for you?
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely be a process for sure. And depending on, what people hold and their stories and what they've been through, um, it can be a process. And so that's another reason why I usually like to cap my closet edits at like 2, maybe 3 hours, because I just feel like it can be really intense, and depending on the client, more intense than others, especially if they haven't gone through it in a long time, and there's just a lot in there. And that's another reason why I like to kind of go piece by piece, because then it's like you can kind of stop if you need to,
Mm,
right? And I just sense when a client's kind of shutting down,
right.
and when it's like, okay, like, I think that we've
Maxed out.
yeah. And yeah, it's just something I feel like I've had, is that intuitive awareness. Like I'm just really in tune with people and their emotions, and I feel like I can read energy pretty well. And so I think that really serves
Mhm.
what I do, because I'm compassionate, and so it's
Mhm.
not like I'm gonna, and it could definitely go bad if you had somebody in your space, because it's like also inviting somebody into your closet is pretty dang personal. And
Where our
so,
skeletons are.
hmm it's already like a vulnerable position to be in. So I think that, I come from a place of compassion and
Mhm.
intuitiveness of reading people's energy, and like when they're done, and we can come back to it, and just kind of absorb it, and move on. But people like always, they're like, oh, this feels really good, like it feels good to just like, I just feel like it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders too. There's a
Mhm.
heaviness in closets when they're just like all this shit in there that you don't even know what's in there or whatever, like, so it's just like a weight lifted off of your shoulders. And then with a lot of my clients too, it like helps them to go into other areas of their house as well, because they're like, oh, that felt so good, like I want to do this now, and I
Yeah.
notice that even for myself, like I'm like, oh, I did this, and so now I'm going to work on this space, and so just taking it a little space at a time. And usually it's in the morning after I have, some good caffeine,
Ready to
or when
go.
I'm knowing when you're most focused and when you have the
Oh,
most
yeah.
energy is important too, because if you try and do it when you're already tired, or,
In a mood.
um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, what I do you feel that tell me, like, if you can think of somebody when they're starting it versus after, like, have you witnessed people transform somewhat because of it? And I actually will just say from my personal experience with Lindsay that what she is describing right now, I definitely relate to just how she was able to be like, okay, you're done, pretty much. Like, like maybe I couldn't identify that, but she could. She's like, I think we're good for today. We're tapped out here. And yeah, it's a good feeling to have somebody coming into that situation that, again, you could feel potentially loaded about. You might even have some feelings of guilt or like shame about not doing it sooner, or what you are keeping in that closet. You feel, if it doesn't feel good, usually when you're reaching out to Lindsay, it's like, I'd like this to feel better.
Mhm.
It's not feeling great. I'd like it to feel better. And then here she is coming into this not feeling so great space. And it just really is nice to have somebody kind of looking out for you, and that, has like your back in it and
Mhm.
can relate with it, because, she also can feel overwhelmed, and she can feel kind of that ADD brain. And it's just nice to have someone like that can relate with it. And she's found a way to cope and to move forward in confidence. And that's what we ideally want, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I was just kind of curious if you've had other experiences with clients where you kind of watch them shift. Uh,
Yes, 100%. Um, and I think even, a majority of my clients, will reach out after and just be like, that this was amazing. Like, and like I said before, like going into other parts of their house and decluttering that as well. And honestly, I don't know if it's as much of the decluttering that I that I love. It's really the after, like, once things are pretty and then making them even prettier, right? Like, then go shopping and have, like, a closet that you, like, really like, and, that it's fun for you to get dressed, and, that you like your pieces, and, because that's how I wanna feel. Like, I really do love my clothes, you know?
yeah.
Like, I even had, because shopping is also, it's kind of like a double-edged sword for me because it's what I do, it's what I love. But like the big reason why I was like, I need to do this, well, there's a few, but because I love to shop, and I'm like, how can I
Shop and
have
get that.
a job that supports this? And so, yeah, but then one time I was talking to like a therapist, and she was like, "Okay, but do you just buy, or do you like actually like your clothes too? Like, do you buy it and then you're like, like, because I think sometimes people have a tendency to do that just to change the way they feel."
In that, like, moment,
Um,
like, just buy it and get that feeling.
mhm,
Yeah.
which I do sometimes.
Mhm.
But I feel like for the majority, I do really think about, um, like if I'm gonna wear it, and sometimes I do buy it and I don't, and then I'll sell it or whatever. But the pieces that I have in my closet, I do really love.
Yeah, that I'm sure that I'm not alone, and as I'm listening to you, now I just wanna, like, tear up the whole house and throw everything away. Go shopping with Lindsay.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is like I'm trying to also like break the stigma of like a stylist is like like something that only celebrities have, right? Like, it's something, and I feel like I keep my services affordable too because we live in Santa Cruz. It's expensive. And like, yes, I do need to get paid for what I do, but it's also more of like a passion, right? Like I want women to feel good in the bodies that they're in.
Mhm.
And I also like my slogan on I think it's on my website, is feeling good in your jeans.
Yeah. Yeah.
And my middle name is Jean.
Really?
Yeah,
That's so
Lindsay
perfect.
Jean. It
Yeah.
was my grandma's middle name.
Well, see, you're right in
Um,
alignment with what you were to be.
yeah, and then I named my son Levi.
Oh, so she really loves her denim.
I
You should
do.
definitely
Oh
have, like,
man.
somebody called Denim too. Mhm.
Denim is my, like, if you struggle with denim, like, denim is
Specialty.
I've tried on a ton of denim. Like, that's the thing with denim too. It's like sometimes people are just like, "Oh, it can be a quick thing." It's like you got to go through, cuz it's like denim can either make you look really bad and it makes you feel bad in your body if you get an ill-fitting pair of pants, but if you get like a good pair of pants, they're gonna, make you feel a lot better and a lot more confident.
That's so true. I'm like thinking a pair of pants that I kind of spent a lot of money on, and I like want them to be cute because you just spent a lot of money on them, but I don't think they're meant for my body. So then it makes me think of that there is a skill in, buying for fashion because you're like, oh, these are cool. Like, look, they're on the cool rack, versus like how something truly makes you feel. And so curious, do you have a strategy to like knowing what the latest hip things are? Like, how do you style people, or is it unique to them? I would assume. Yeah, how do you go about that? Because I have no idea. I'm not that.
Yeah, it's more so unique to each individual.
Mhm.
And even when I was working, so during COVID is when I like officially went official with my business, and I got like I hired a business coach, and she helped me design my website, and she was suggesting doing packages for people, and having that on the website. But then the packages felt too confining to me
Mhm.
because each person is individual in their needs, and so I wanted to cater to that rather than putting people like in a box, and I never like being put in a box. And yes, each person is individual in their needs of how I style them, depending on their lifestyle, what they're wanting. Like I actually really love working with like new moms, or, moms who their kids are a couple years old, or whatever, and they are just trying to find their style. And but also be a mom, and so, like, a realistic style, like, that's what I'm about too, is, like, my style is pretty simple, but, like, I feel like you can really make stuff cute by the colors you choose, flattering colors for yourself, and then, like, accessories, and even I know some moms who have, like, young babies, you can't wear really many accessories, but there's other things you can do to, like, spruce up an outfit, and comfort is key for me. Like I want you to feel comfortable, and I put my clients in things that make them feel comfortable. If I can tell they're like, no, then they're not going to wear it. And so it's a waste of money. So really just reading the client and
Yeah.
knowing like what they will wear, what they're going to feel comfortable in. Cause I always say, if you're comfortable, you're confident. If you're
Yeah.
not comfortable, you're not going to feel confident. If you're wearing something that you're like, I don't know, is this me? Like, that's gonna come off.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna read that right away.
You're so right. That is so true. Yeah. So your strategy really is just about feeling people's energy and noticing what makes them feel good versus what not, versus thumbing through like the latest Vogue
Yeah,
magazine to see what the cutting edge, you know?
trend is. Yeah, and
Yeah.
people will even say like, "Oh, what's the trend this year?" And I'm
I don't
like,
know. Whatever makes you feel good. How about that?
yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what I'm more into because, like, yeah, if you like barrel jeans, for example, right? Those are super trendy right now.
Mhm.
And if you like them, awesome, wear them. But if you don't, then you don't have to wear them just because
Yeah.
they're trendy. Like maybe they just don't work for you. I don't know if they work for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
if they bring you joy, then I
Yeah.
actually have one pair, but it's like a tiny, tiny little barrel. Yeah, I'm not like, you should wear this because it's trending, but like chocolate brown, like I love chocolate brown. And I also just have that intuition as well, like what is in style, and like the colors that are in style, just because I just pick up on them, right? And like sometimes I'll even be like, oh, I really like this color, and then it's like it's
Everywhere.
the trending color.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's like
You're
it's just
tuned in to
yeah.
the collective style or trend vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm out searching for it. It's just like being aware of like what I'm seeing, I guess, and what I'm liking in the moment and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, you had mentioned that, um, I guess like you bite off in little pieces, like one a little bit at a time, and that's how you go about your styling. But you also said that's how you do life. is you kind of just take things as they come. And, even when things can be overwhelming and there can be a lot of things going on in your life. And, and I brought up when I introduced you just how Lindsay's like super, I mean, you would never know anything is anything but like peaches and cream in Lindsay's life, her. And she looks like peaches and cream too.
Aw.
Oh, I think she does. So yeah. But, something that's something I admire about Lindsay. I'm like one of those faces that you like doesn't lie. It's like everything that's going on is like on my face. It's like here it comes, Sandy, and everything that she's feeling. you know? And somehow she's really good at I don't know. And I'm wondering, is it something that, you're feeling? Do you need to prep your mood to show up in life like that, or do you just naturally feel like that all the time? And yeah, how does one approach life and go into life? Because I would say that life isn't always easy for
No.
you, that you
Mm-mm.
have your challenges, but how do you do that? Is it a mindset, or is it that you control your space in a way that actually makes you feel good and you're able to feel that way? I'm really curious to hear about that.
Um, I think I mean, I know it's a mindset for sure.
Uh-huh.
Like attitude of gratitude.
Mhm.
And I feel like I was raised with mindfulness. Like my parents were always like into mindfulness. Like I remember my dad reading like Dire Straits. No, that's the
Like, what does he write other than songs?
but I did grow up listening to Dire Straits.
Yeah, some
Wayne Dyer,
oh,
Wayne
yeah, yeah.
Dyer.
Cool, yeah.
And so yeah, I feel like mindfulness is something that I definitely was raised with. And just this, like, my dad was like, he was positive. He had an optimistic outlook on life too, and like money, and you know money comes, money goes, like,
Mhm.
which is like good for me but also bad.
Oh, there it went. There it went.
Bye. But then I'm like, okay, now I need to like work a little to
Bring it back.
but yeah, I've always been like a worker too, like since I was really young. Like I think I mean I know I like money.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Thank you.
um
Mhm.
and I like being able to, get what I want too.
Yes. Same.
In all honesty,
I
but
love
I'm
the
not afraid to work
honesty.
for it,
Yeah.
like I'm not afraid to work for what I want and go after what I want.
Mhm.
But so yes, I think I was brought up with mindfulness for sure.
Mhm.
Um and just like a positive attitude for the most part, although I did struggle in my teenage years, because teenage years are hard. And then started drinking and using,
Mhm.
and then I think that kind of, I mean, it did damper who I was, right? And I've always been like a really caring person about people, and just got so selfish and caught up in my drinking, and that's really all that mattered. And even though I tried to be this person who I am to my core,
Mhm.
it was really hard because it was like all I could really think about was like, when do I get to black out again?
Mhm. Yep.
Like at the end of and I think, yeah, you talked about that a little bit at the beginning too, my sobriety and my sobriety journey.
Mhm.
And at the end of my drinking, even though like I wanted to be this person, it was like I really lost who I was, because really the thing that was driving me was alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. So you were not free. You were confined, which you've said you hate to be in a box, but you are definitely in a box, and one that
Mhm.
does not reflect you at the core at all.
Mhm. Yeah, and just, making a fool of myself, and not being able to, walk with my head held high. It was just kind of like, oh God, like that was not the best move, and getting kicked out of places and,
Yeah, all that comes with
and
it.
like, even like when my husband and I first met, we were drinking, and one of his friends, like, oh, be careful with her. She's a barfly.
Oh god, you're like, "Wait, what? When did I get that connected to my name?"
Well, from the get go.
Yeah, it came that way.
Like, even in middle school, I feel like I had a
Barfly
reputation of
barfly vibe.
or alcoholic
Yeah, just like a
from and
party girl.
I was a
Mhm,
party girl, and that's what my identity ended up being,
mhm. And you
was party girl.
you were in I mean, you said you think you were born kinda ADD, you had, like, maybe learning challenges around that or challenges just being in your body, right? And do you think, so it sounds like now you have this way of dealing with it, organizing spaces, making things look pretty, making things feel good, and maybe that was another way you were dealing with it at that time.
Yeah, I think I definitely was self-medicating, but yeah, it was interesting too because like I did really, really well in elementary school. Like and
Mhm.
that like learning disabilities really didn't come up much. It might have been a little bit of reading, but it wasn't like a super apparent thing. But then once I like went into middle school, it was like middle school was really hard for me. I was getting D's um and just barely making it by. I don't know if it was like my hormones maybe that kind of gave me that shift,
Yeah,
like when I started going through puberty, and then it kind of, because hormones have played like a big part in my life too. And like with postpartum, I had postpartum with both boys, and so I feel like, whenever I have a huge hormonal shift, like things can go awry.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and from what I understand about hormones at this point, it's like there's like almost like an adrenaline that effect. There's an adrenaline effect, and adrenaline is like super acidic and like battery acid to the system. So it can like fuel fire of like anything that's kind of going on. It's like amplifies whatever's going on. So when people say like hormones, or it wasn't till they went through the hormonal change, then they had some mental breaks of some kind. It's like it kind of makes sense that it's like fuel on the fire. Like whatever's going on, that hormone surge is like, you know, acidic
Mm,
to.
totally.
Wild. So then, and also something, yeah, I brought up in the beginning, and you just kind of mentioned is with your husband, like that's something that I think, like I said, as being married for 20 years, I know it's can be challenging. And you guys have been married for how long?
We just celebrated 15 years.
Well, yeah, they've been married for 15 years, and I just super admire how you and your husband have navigated life together. I think, like, right, that could be like the ticket, the trick of actually like navigating life together. And we can sometimes separate and have to separate to do that. Has it always been this way? And what would you say the state of your marriage is at this time?
Our marriage is really good at this time.
Would you say, like, I'm married for 15 years, and I really think my marriage is a good marriage. I mean, I think people, can't always say that they just
Yeah.
you're really into their partner, you know? Uh,
Yeah. No, definitely. And but I mean that's another thing too, is like I'm really like, you only have one life to live too. So like if something's not serving you, like I don't think that you should. Of course you like try, right? But like if it's really not feeling true to who you are, like don't stay. Don't,
mhm.
because like we only get one life, and it's like who cares what people think? Like if it's not serving you, then move on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where my happiness comes from too, is like, well, I mean the program has really, really helped
And you
give me
guys
the
did it
tools,
together. Mhm.
mhm, to live. Wait, and we did it together. Yes, Sean and I did it together. And so we had a strong foundation, like from the get-go. And yeah, when we met, we were drinking and using a lot. And like he had a partner before who like didn't want him to drink because he was a shit show, but then she wanted him to be like her designated driver. Like, and then I had a partner before him and he didn't want me to drink, but he was smoking weed all the time. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. Like it's like them saying like, well, we don't want you to do this, but like not supporting in the cause either. So when Sean and I met, we'd both already known, and his mom had actually been sober for like 20 years. So Sean grew up in the program.
Mm.
And I got sent to like youth services. It's a program in town for adolescent drinkers. So I got like a taste of the program a little bit as well. Because it wasn't something that was like in my life. Like I didn't know anybody who did the program. I don't think like, growing up. So we both knew that we had, issues with substance abuse. And um, we it just kind of, I was just icky. Like I would, black out and just say all the mean things to him and just be a shitty friend, like go out with people and then like something looked better. And so I would just leave my friends and go
Mhm.
to the next thing. And one of my other favorite things to do was like I'd get in a fight with Sean and I would just like hop out of the car.
Yeah, on the side of the road.
Yeah, but we'd be like in the middle of the street, just
Yeah.
like, we'd be like at a light and I'd be like, nope, I'm not doing this. Just freaking.
Yeah, come chase me down the street all night and try to make this better.
So that was my coping skill before.
Yeah.
And then, like the longer you drink, right, the more those unhealthy coping skills become your coping skills, right?
Mhm.
And you don't know how to make healthy coping skills because your coping skill is drinking, right? And so or using, and then your thoughts are diluted, and so it's hard to think clearly and to make good life choices.
Yeah. I mean, and
um
you identify with yourself as one who fill in the blank, right? Like who you are when I mean, you're always ashamed. You're always feeling
mhm
about something.
mhm
I felt like I remember thinking like I don't have integrity.
mhm
Like
I didn't.
I like actually registered that like integrity means, and then I'm like, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means for me, right? So it's yeah, like how you identify, and then of course that's going to change how you show up in the world because you're somebody who I don't feel like I have integrity. Don't feel good about myself. I'm ashamed. Right, all these titles.
Yeah, getting kicked out of places and not able to look people in the eyes, and even when, having a conversation and you're drunk and trying not to be, and
Try not to be
uh,
cross-eyed and
yeah, and showing up the next day like smelling of alcohol, like you can just smell it like coming out of my pores, like that's so there's another quote that I really like too, and it's like if you want self-esteem, do esteemable acts. Like, like be like, yeah, do esteemable acts and it'll give you self-esteem, right?
yeah.
Even something as easy as like holding the door open for somebody. Or I remember my grandma used to say like, smile at the older person because they may be alone and like you might be the only person that smiles at them today or says hi to them, and so just thinking about other people and like how can I make somebody else's day better,
Yeah,
and
I love that. I have a similar quote that's like, if you don't want to feel like an asshole, don't act like an asshole.
which is like duh, but then
Yeah, I
sometimes like in
know.
the
You're
moment,
like,
right, like
oh,
in
if
the
I want to feel better, do things that make you feel good, like a good
but
person.
maybe sometimes people don't even know what that is, right? Or maybe they haven't been taught that, like,
Mhm.
by doing these things. It's like my kids and even my husband, although he's like starting to open up more, but like I'll just like strike up a conversation with somebody in a grocery store or and my dad used to kind of be that way too. So I saw that and I'm outgoing, but I'm
Mhm.
like, you never know. Like I've gotten in so many cool conversations just by talking to random people. And
Mm.
then part of me is like, is this random? Right? Like, is this random or is this conversation happening for a reason?
Right. I
And
was
I
put
think
here
that
for them, or they were put here for me in this moment, or
yeah, and just like
into that is part of that, like, just you being open to magic being made in this moment with this random conversation, like
mhm. And, like, being aware enough to, like, realize, like, maybe this is happening for a reason, and maybe nothing does happen by mistake. Like, I'm a true believer in that. Like, everything really does happen for a reason. I think that especially if you're on the right path, right? Like, if you're not on your aligned path, then
Mhm.
I think that, like for example, drinking, right? Like that's like me kind of making my own path, like changing what my true core is, right? Like it's
Yeah.
going down this path of like, well, I'm going to make my own, like, I don't care that this is my path. Like, I'm going to go down this path because, and then
Yeah.
it's just like nothing working out, right? Because it's like I'm not in line with who I'm supposed to be. And if I'm drinking and using and deluding myself with that, then I'm not able to be in line with who I truly am.
Yeah, so you believe that, we all have a path. Would that be
Mhm.
to say? Yeah, and that you can, that there is a path for you, and that we get to use, like, our free will, we'll say, to follow that path, or like you're saying, and then you're, like, right where you're supposed to be kind of a thing, like, this is in alignment with that path given versus, I'm gonna decide to go against what feels good, against what feels right, and go my own way, and then, like, let's just see what happens in that. And I think that's all probably part of meant to be too. I mean, we're here to learn, right? And so it's
Yeah.
like sometimes you got to go way off to know what good feels like, what
Yeah.
right feels like. You got to be really wrong sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it's like part of me wonders too, like why some people, just never able to find their truth. And I feel like that's a sad thing, like that, maybe they just avoid it or like, yeah, why are some people aware that what they're doing isn't feeling right and able to do something about it as opposed to just never, right? And just kind of like living a life that's not in line, living a life that's not true to them or whatever. I don't know. Then, like, when I start thinking about that kind of stuff, I start kind of going down of like, but why?
Yeah, why do some people get to live this aligned life and some people have no clue seemingly of what that even is? And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think, like, I feel like with all things, the more I get a taste of it, you kind of go like, yeah, like that, like this.
Mhm.
But if you haven't tasted it, you don't know. You don't have anything to compare it to other than the bad feelings that you're used to feeling or the quick fixes that you're used to feeling. Like, I remember in the past, like, the quick fixes were as good as it gets. The quick
Mhm.
fixes is what you lived for because you kind of felt like down here a lot of the times, and then the little quick fix was like just enough, whether it was like the meal or the junk food or the drinks or the cocktail hour or whatever it was like just enough to like, oh, that feels better than this.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
but then that's as high as you've ever got, really registered that you feel, right?
Right.
And now maybe we feel this other level of highness, right? Where you're like, my heart feels expansive and like I'm fueled by the things that make my heart feel alive, right? And that
Yeah.
feeling is the best feeling. So now we're chasing that feeling versus just like this little bump that we get,
Right. Mhm. And sometimes literally a little bump.
Yep. Yes.
I think a lot of times when people just stop drinking on their own or like for me when I went to the program I was just like how do I stop drinking, right? And I didn't realize too that it was like a life thing, and that it was, it was how I was coping with life because it just became a second nature. And I think I was just like, yeah, I feel like shit, like I'm going to do this and I'm going to feel better, right? But
Mhm.
then you do more stuff to make yourself feel like shit, and then it's this ongoing cycle. I would say too that I felt like a dog chasing my tail at the
Yeah.
end of my drinking because it was just this constant freaking cycle.
Yeah.
And so, like, I really don't think, I know that I wouldn't have been able to do it without the program because,
Mhm.
like, it just really gave me the tools for living life on life's terms,
Right.
and trusting, like, I'm not I'm not like super religious, but I am spiritual,
Mhm.
and trusting that, like, my, I call it my higher power, like,
Mhm.
has it's, and that's like higher alignment too for me, right? Like my highest self, like how am I in line with that?
Mhm.
Has the best interest for me, and that doesn't always mean that life is perfect,
Right. Right.
but being aware of what's going on and how to break off each piece in a small dose to be able to, to make it manageable. And but yeah, I know when people like start try to stop drinking on their own, it's like, and then they're doing the exact same things that they did, when they were drinking, but now they're not drinking
Right.
and trying to have different results. Like it's really challenging,
Yeah.
to not have like a program, especially if that's your coping skill. It's like, well, then how the fuck do I cope? So the programs taught me how to cope.
Like you're like you said, it's giving you tools in life so that, usually when this something happens, I do this. And we can say this with a lot of things, that not just drinking. I think just anytime you're living a result different than you actually want to be, and we just try to like white knuckle it, like, and that totally works for some people. I'm always like so blown away by that. Like, I do not know. They just must have like major self control or something, or which I don't relate with. But like
Mhm.
I really do need to change my setting, change my way I'm thinking, change my routines, like change my environment, change people around, like for all things I'm trying to make a difference in my life, like habit wise, and whether it's alcohol or caffeine or what I'm eating or my what I'm getting done in life and goals I'm reaching or not reaching, right? Or work. It's like I can't just say don't do that anymore because it's bad. It's like
Yeah.
I really just I tend to rebel, and you probably relate. Uh,
Yes.
and so I think
Um,
like, yeah, who doesn't want, well, I guess I could say I don't sometimes, but it's like we crave this like freedom, and we love to be like free and spontaneous and be able to do what we want. But I thrive with structure, believe it or not, right? Like when it's so hard for me to get that structure, but once I have it and I'm like this, it's like I can breathe, I can relax, it's kind of like your closets or your room spaces. It's like you can just kind of relax into the structure that's going to hold you while you're trying to make changes or you're trying to meet goals, right? Like, so I think the program sounds like, for the people I know, and I have plenty of them in my life who I would say are program people. They really go back to that over and over again in those situations where in the past you would be like, this is when we drink. This is like an event. We always drink at this event. This is how I feel connected to the people I love. We drink together. This is how I have fun. This is how I like myself. This is how I
mhm.
confident. How do you get all, we're not like saying like, okay, now you get a life with no joy, no love, no connection, and no play. But it can feel like that if you just stop something that's giving you those results. Food is the same way.
Mhm.
Where, it's like, how do you get to have those experiences um without that thing that you see as getting you there, right?
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I, even when I got sober, I was like, I think I cried for like a week straight. Like I even lost my voice from
Stopping.
Yeah, and it was like, cuz that was my identity for a
Yeah.
long time. And I was like, I'm not going to have friends. I'm not going to have fun. Like,
Mhm.
my life is over.
Mhm.
And like not even that long ago, like I have 17 years sober now, and
Um,
I had this realization. I was like, you know what? My life was over. Like that life was over and I was mourning it, at the
Yeah.
time. And so it made a lot of sense to me. I was like, that really what like a version of me died that, on that day. Like it did. And so I was mourning it, and and I think that's why they call it a birthday, right? Because it's like a
The
birth
rebirth.
into this, yeah, so rebirth into life and to alignment of who you truly want to be.
Mhm.
And I see it all the time with people in recovery who, get sober. Like, yes, life still shows up. It's called life on life's terms, but it's like, how do we deal with it? How do we cope with it? Like, what are our healthy tools for coping with it? And just seeing people do such cool things like getting their masters, or just being like a stand-up person, like people who were homeless and didn't shower and now they're like taking care of themselves, and like they say like living a life beyond your wildest dreams. And
Mhm.
like by getting sober, I've done like created this business, and like I always wanted to teach fitness when I was drinking too. Like fitness has always been a part of my life. I started working out at like 17 and I just loved it. And I was like, I want to teach classes, but I'm like, but like, I can't do it on the weekend because I'll be hungover. And like, what about, so alcohol was just running
Limiting.
my life. Uh
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah, and it's like you want to keep doing it because we don't want to be confined, right? You're like, I don't want to be restricted. I want to be like, we only have one life to live. I'm gonna,
Uh huh.
have a good time, and yet, like looking back, you were limited because of it, because you could only do this on certain days, because you're gonna have a hangover on these days, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show up all the time, and um,
Yeah, like I didn't show up all the time. I was too freaking
yeah.
hungover most of the time because I had like gotten to the like I hadn't got to the point yet in my drinking really where I was drinking like, there's other people who, that I've met in the program who it's like had to start drinking like first thing in the morning to, deal, but I hadn't really gotten there yet. I was just more of like a binger, but I was blacking out like 3 times or 4 times a week. And then the next day I would just be so hungover and like dead basically. Like I was 24 and I was like, I feel like shit, like I could just like my hangovers were so bad. I was like, I feel like I'm dying.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I basically was dying inside. And so I don't know why. I should have just started drinking in the morning.
You're like, "Well, I need to go back and do this again." Yeah.
But, like, that's the other thing, like,
If you
even if
take
people are
nothing else
listening.
away from this show.
Yeah, drink in the morning.
Yeah. Cheers.
No, but I was gonna say that, oh, that I think sometimes too people can justify their drinking, and I know I would try and justify it anyway I could. Like I was like, well, if I don't have a DUI, then I'm not a real alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
Like then it's
Mhm.
not. But then I would just leave my car all over town.
There's
Be
my
like,
car.
where's my car?
Yeah.
And this was
Yeah.
before freaking Uber, like it was taxi
Mhm.
drivers.
Yeah.
But I think there's, like well, I'm not like homeless on the street. There's like
Yeah.
functioning alcoholics too. And it doesn't necessarily have to be where you're, drinking every day, or it's like you can stop whenever you want to stop, whenever it's not working for you. Like you
Mhm.
don't have to, like, there's
Beat
a
it that
saying too, like
fast.
yeah, like you hit the bottom when you quit digging. Like you can, if it's not working, like it's not working for you. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I can definitely relate with that. Just being surrounded around, real alcoholics, right? Like professional alcoholics, or, where if you're in the program, you're like, oh, you had a problem. Well, I don't have a problem, so I don't have to like be in the program, or, and so I just did that a lot, just as I drink every single day, but I'm not an alcoholic because I'm still doing totally like life and and it's just like because I choose to, like but at the same time, like it doesn't work for me. It's like I don't get to show up and all the symptoms that you had as a real professional alcoholic, since you're in the program and you claimed yourself to be now, like I had those same symptoms, right? I had shame. I had unfulfilled promises all over the place all the time, right? Like where you want to do better. And I think sometimes we just kind of give up on um I guess promising anything to ourselves. Like you don't want to let yourself down and um you don't want to have another broken promise. So you just
Yeah.
stop, and then you need to make it okay, and not only okay but like empowered, like let me somehow be empowered in my who I am as a regular, like let's make it festive, let's make it like this is like me being a host, this is all the ways you can like make it, like put a bow on it or
Mhm. Yeah. My
and,
justifier is definitely,
yeah,
like, legit, like, I can
you got it.
justify and I still do,
Yeah,
even, being
others
sober, but
know.
at least
Yeah,
it's different, like, it's different now too, and and I have the awareness and clarity and, like, when things aren't working, or if I am shitty to somebody or my husband, like, I can own that, right? Like taking ownership over it. And where, before if I was shitty to him, it was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'd be like hungover, but then I'd do the same thing the next fucking night. So it's like, okay, well, you keep doing the same thing. So it's like, I'm not going to take you for
right,
reals. And so being able to, see when issues are coming up and try. I'm not perfect, and I think we have tendencies to fall back onto the same kind of habits, and so but having the awareness, right, and like taking ownership for it, I think is really important, and I think that's how Sean and I's relationship has we built it well. Built it on that, but we didn't because we were drinking and using for
mhm,
a year, but I think we both like it was just like even that was just such a, crazy like how we came into each other's lives at that time, and we were like both took time off of college after high school, and when we met we were like at the same place in junior college where we had like one more semester and we were gonna um uh transfer, and so it was like we were at the same place, like it was just like I feel like it was like a divine intervention
totally.
in a way. And so, or for reals. And I feel like that's kind of how our whole relationship has gone. And like, even how you were talking about, we're at a new spot in our relationship now. And through having two kids, it was, life just got lifey. And, we kind of had to live kind of separate lives because of the kids. And, really just getting into kind of these bad habits that like don't seem like a big deal at the time, but then when they're happening and then you like look back and kind of assess the relationship, like this is a big deal, right? This isn't working. Like sometimes he would just pass out on the couch. Most of the time he would, not because we were in a fight, but just because like he'd be tired and
Yeah.
we would watch different shows, and like he would be downstairs, I'd be upstairs, and like we didn't have that time together, And just yeah, with having young kids, it's really hard to focus on each other. But ever since Levi, our oldest, he's 14, was born, we went on dates. Like every Friday night, my parents would watch him, and pretty much like from when he was like a month old, we made it a priority to go on dates every Friday night.
Mhm.
And even though our relationship was kind of drifting apart for a little bit, like I feel like that was also a really good just anchor base for us. Like we have that, and yeah, and then yeah, so just drifting away and from each other and realizing, having the stuff come up with Levi, our oldest, has epilepsy, and over the past year, we were um, doing stuff for brain surgery, and then he ended up having two brain surgeries, and um, all this kind of stuff happened with Sean and I's relationship, and me realizing that maybe I wasn't, fulfilled in the relationship emotionally because Sean's way of coping and my way of coping were different. And then just really having the realization, and Sean had like an awakening and was able to really tune into my emotions and tune into his emotions, which has been, it's what saved our marriage. And even though, our marriage was good and we were good partners, it was like getting to a point where um, emotionally I wasn't fulfilled. And I don't know if he was either. I think that we just got kind of in this routine, and I was like, well, it's good. Like there's nothing bad happening, but then in the reality of it, there was things that were happening all along that like didn't feel true to me and didn't feel good to me. And that was just like an own personal thing of what I was needing. Like I crave connection. Like I said, I like connection with freaking grocery store people. Like everywhere I go, I want connection. And then I wasn't completely getting it from my partner, who is like the one that I feel like you should have the biggest connection with. But then I'd also be able to like justify that with like I have a really close friend of a close group of girlfriends, and I was like, well, I'm getting that part from them, right? So like, because that's the other thing is like I've learned that you can't get everything you need from one person, from your partner. Like
Mhm.
when I was younger, I thought that you were like I'm like put this person that I'm with on this pedestal, and
Yeah.
like you need to fulfill all of my needs.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's like nobody can do that.
Mhm.
So then for me it was like, well, am I asking too much of him? I can get it from here. And so I was, and he was getting it other ways too, like he's a huge disc golfer. But then that was just bringing us further and further apart. Right.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
realizing that, and it actually happened right at the time of Levi's surgeries. And so we were like the most connected, I feel like, emotionally. Like we've always been connected, but we were like in tune with each other's hearts. I felt like we had this like light that was like, togetherness. And it would just was like felt so good during everything we went through with Levi too, and we've just continued to grow, and it's like we're in a new relationship, but we're 15 years married and we've been together 19. But like I don't feel like it's too late for people either. Like if you're both really willing to do the work and we're both doing
Mhm.
work around it, then I don't feel like it's too late if you have a solid base to start with too.
Right. Yeah. And well, what I hear that stands out is you had the courage, but also I'd say kind of like your self esteem. You had enough, like, you valued yourself enough and how you were feeling to actually be able to be honest about what you were feeling and to say that. Like, I think that was always a really hard thing when I was married. Just like I was like, kind of like bottled up in those like deepest feelings, and especially if they were felt like they could be like a bad feeling, like a feeling that could cause a problem in the marriage, or like I would avoid it at all costs kind of. And I think that stemmed from like this lack of self-confidence or self-esteem or like value in myself, like that, if I had these feelings that weren't necessarily like seen as like good feelings in the marriage, right? Like I would see that as bad feelings, right? And therefore like bad, right? Like so like you might have had feelings of like I'm not satisfied emotionally and my needs aren't being, and I would have taken that as like something's wrong with me and I'm bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore I
Yeah.
wouldn't voice them. Instead I would keep trying to cover that up or make it better, be better in other ways, right? Like just so I think that's like takes like a lot of courage to actually and be willing to like whatever happens, happens. Like I'm gonna voice this. This is my truth. This
Mhm.
might go south and he might say, oh well, like can't do anything for you, like you're not satisfied, you're never happy, you're, all the things that I was afraid of hearing, right? Like you're just never
Mhm.
happy or something, right? And so it had to go where you were courageous enough and confident enough in who you are and cared enough about how you felt to then voice it to your partner. You had to have trust in that foundation that you're in what you guys were built really on. I see the program because that was when you guys were kind of born again, a little,
Mhm.
and then he had to rise to the occasion and be able to feel good enough about himself to be able to hear that his wife was feeling like her needs weren't being fulfilled, which is very challenging, I think, for most husbands.
Mhm.
And to then be able to hold space for you in those feelings instead of being defensive and turning it around on you or gaslighting you or right. So I mean, a lot got to happen there for.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, we'd had that conversation before too, and it was kind of went more like you were saying, like you're never satisfied, like you're this, you're that. And because, overall he's the breadwinner
And you have this really
and
great life and
yeah, and so in his mind, it's like, what's the issue, right? Like I'm taking care of, like she's taken care of. She gets to kind of go after. Yeah, I could go on a different. It's also like I've kind of found these things too for being a mom, like my work, so that I could make money, but I can also, be available when the kids get sick and especially when they were younger. Now it's much better because they can stay home alone too. So
yeah.
I'm more free in that sense. But,
Mhm.
just creating this space of like a housewife in a way, but also like really staying true to myself because I thought I wanted to be a housewife and then the reality hit and I was like, oh hell no.
Mhm. Yeah, there's all
Like
these things I want to chase.
yeah, yeah. And I know that overall being a mother it is very rewarding, but like on the day-to-day basis, it's so challenging. And like a lot of times you're just getting attitude, right? Or, and especially now I have a teenager. So it's like I'm doing all this shit for you. And all I'm getting is attitude. So it's like and when that's happening day after day, it can be defeating. So like by having these things that I love to do, it fills my cup back up. Like you can't
Mhm.
pour from an empty cup. And even like I have this candle lit back here, like just little things of self care that just like things that I have control over, like what makes me happy. Like I try and do those things every day to fill my cup up.
Do you think you guys would have the I think we all crave that like depth of relationship that you're describing and um I wonder, do you think you could have had that depth of relationship if you had not, made the choice and the commitment to each other, which I just see as like a really big commitment to yourself and the life you want to live, but then also committing to each other's life that they want to live. Like you guys are a partnership and you're like, you want to be, you want to see better for yourself. And how can I support you in seeing better for yourself and you guys getting getting sober together and making these big life changes. So maybe, and for other people, this is working out together. This is, just
Which
helping each
which
other.
now he's doing too, which is amazing because 'cause he'd never really, um, worked out before. It was like, he was disc golf was his thing, and
Mhm.
so, came to my classes, like, maybe twice in the 10 years that I taught, and now he's really, he's working out and making that effort on his own and going even when I'm not there, and so this is building confidence up in him, and he looks really good. He probably looks the best, since I met him, if not better, because he's even, stronger now, like, more built, and so it's just been cool to see him working on himself, which then makes me wanna, work on myself more and just really supporting and loving each other and, supporting what each other needs to create a better life for ourselves and for each other. Like, I want him to be the best version of himself, and I want him to feel the best that he can feel. And I trust that he wants the same for me.
Yeah, that's something I learned to value is just like a partnership that seriously supports like the best version of yourself. Like and really like if one isn't down to play that game, like it
It's
can't.
not going to happen. No.
Mm.
No, because it takes two and it feeds off each other, right? Like if you're doing good and you're like, okay, so I like to go on girls' weekends, right? And he's like super supportive of that, loving of that. Do it. Then that makes me want to be like, he wants to go on a disc golf weekend, I'm like, do it. Yes, like I support you, And so, and that just snowballs in that way, in a good, positive way. But it's like, if I wanted to go on a girls' weekend and he's like, "Oh, you always go. Like, why do you need that?" Da 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 da. Then when he wanted to go disc golfing, I'd be like, "Well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Why do you
Yeah,
need that?" So it's like
yeah.
you can either like go down this rabbit hole of like spiraling and just not respecting each other and not supporting each other. Or I feel like if you're going the other way, then it just builds this like, yes, let's support each other, let's love each other, like let's I want us each to live our true authentic life and ultimately do what's going to bring us the most joy.
It's like instead of being like, what have you done for me lately? It's just like, how can I keep supporting you in liking yourself? And because like, right, like it's so, I I'm lucky that I have the 20 years of marriage and all that like I learned from that. There's so much, and I mean I can't help but to look back and go like, this is where that went wrong. Like this is why that didn't work. This is how this happened. Cuz like of course I'm there to learn from it, and one
Mhm.
thing I remember is some of what you're the where you made that like turn, like you made the right turn, I made like a left turn, right? Like instead of like right, I was not drinking, not that that has to be the thing, it's not like whether you're drinking or not, but the fact is I was not showing up as my best self at all. Like, I was not the
Mhm.
version I am today, which I like this version, and I did not like the version I was in my marriage most of the time, and so
Mhm.
how do you and I'm just saying, I'm just bringing this up because I just see how important it is to live a life that you like yourself, live a life that you feel good as who you are, and whatever that takes. And in your case, is that took you guys getting sober, and and in mine, it took a bunch of changes I needed to make too. But because when I am not feeling good about myself, I'm disempowered in general, and I'm not going to have that voice of strength when I have something. I don't have integrity. I said it myself. Like, I don't have integrity. How can I sit here and have this really heart to heart conversation about my true deepest feelings? And I really honestly think like that's what where we lacked is we were not able to have those conversations. There was no safety in them. I didn't feel good enough about who I was to be able to stand behind what I'm about to say and how I'm feeling. I couldn't handle it if it wasn't to go well. Like, right? Like I just wasn't in a place to be able to have that conversation, and therefore it wasn't had. And we never got to reach that level that I craved and wanted of depth and all that too. So I mean, I don't know, I bet you a lot of people can relate to just craving it and all the things we do to try, like, and it's not wrong or right, it's not good or
Yeah.
bad, it's a preference of what you want in life. And if you want to have be in a relationship where you get to have that emotional connection and depth, I do think it's possible. I do think it requires like really deep, honest, seriously honest conversations, no matter how painful that can feel at times. To be able to just like, and how you have the knots in your stomach and you can't even get the words out of your mouth. It's that terrifying to speak
Mhm.
your honest truth sometimes, as to be judged,
Yeah.
whatever it's going to sound like. But Like but hearing your story, it's like it's really inspiring, and I think it's encouraging to speak your truth, because you never would have gotten to this place of getting to go through these things with connection versus separation. You never, like, there's like this whole life on the other side of speaking your truth that
Mhm.
you don't. And if you don't, you're literally living and continuing to reinforce this other version that is not your whole truth. Like, right? You get to live this like muted version of your life and your connection and of love in a relationship. Like, why be in a relationship? I don't, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
maybe for like the structure of it, like it's convenient, it's all these other things. But if you want
right.
that heartfelt, like depth, emotional connection, it requires work
Getting
on yourself,
real.
that foundation of getting that confidence enough to be able to speak your truth, right? And then actually having those conversations, right?
Yeah, and I think that's how you get those deeper relationships too, is like, you know, or when you're struggling and you reach out to somebody and, and it's like, this is, I don't want to tell people how I'm feeling, but you have, that's how you build the deeper relationships and the bigger connections, deeper connections is by being vulnerable. Like
Yeah.
I don't get deeper connections by not being vulnerable. Like that's
Yeah.
how and then by being vulnerable with others, then they feel safe to be vulnerable with you. So, and I think it's the same thing, like I was saying about the snowball effect, right? It's like, um, if you're never like open and honest with your feelings, even in friendships, right? Like, how are you going
Mhm.
to build a deeper connection? But like like my girlfriends, it's like, we tell each other everything, and like I'll be like, I'm having a really shitty day. Like this is really
Mhm.
hard, or because something's happening, right? Or just because, like, some days I'm just like, I can
Mhm.
almost be like paralyzed in anxiety and it just hits me out of nowhere and I don't know why. And it's
Mhm.
like, and then I get it out and I tell somebody, and that like being vulnerable allows them to feel like they can be vulnerable with me when, they're feeling that way or
Mhm.
whatever comes up for them. And it's just like a really, um, it's a safer place to be. And also just getting it out rather than keeping it in my head. Because when I keep like my emotions in my head, then they just spiral even
Yeah.
worse and I can feel worse. And then I just get into this like doom. And
Mhm.
so rather just like, once again, like taking action in the situation, whatever it be,
Mhm.
um, it makes me feel better.
Yeah. And I guess if for somebody who, you know, didn't know that a relationship of like a partnership could, like, if you could have a best friend, you can have a really deep relationship. I think like it's like compare what you do in your best friendships. You are able to tell each other things, you're able to trust each other, you're cheering for each other, you're able to not be, you're not judging each other, you're wanting the best, so it's like, why have a different standard for your love
Or
relationship, partnership, right? And I don't, right? Like, am I the only one that didn't have the same standard? I don't know. But for some
No, I
reason,
think
like,
it's interesting because yeah, and he's actually even said that before, like, would you treat your friends this way? Like there's some,
yeah.
like it's easy to like nitpick him or whatever that I wouldn't do to my girlfriend. But then I'm also
Mhm.
like, yeah, but we're with each other 24/7. We're
Right.
living like we live in the same space, like it's
Mhm.
different, but then it's a good thing to remember, too, like just because. And then I feel like it's can be with your parents too. Like my mom, I can get, like irritated easily or whatever, but it's like, having that same compassion. And when you come from that place, it's like just compassion. And by having those hard conversations too, it's like, we had some really deep, hard conversations and we'd be up at night, like talking at like 2 in the morning, and we'd never really done that before. But that's what has made our relationship so strong and this new level. Yeah, we're at a higher level.
Yeah, you are.
um,
Yeah.
is by
Yeah, I
having
get it.
these
Mhm.
conversations that are like, "Oh my god, this is really uncomfortable. I don't wanna be having it." But, and even with like our and I'm just going to go here cuz why not, but with our sex life, and being able to like talk about it. Like why wouldn't we? We've been together for 15 years and you just get in this like routine and this habit. And it's like, okay, well, if we were to split up and have other partners, like we would have to relearn them. So why not learn and
Do
get
it
to
with
know
the
each other
person
better,
you're Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
and having that realization too, and it's like, it's fun. Like, yeah, let's do different things and let's talk about different
Mhm.
things and be open
Explore
and
all
honest about it.
possibilities, right.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
just like this whole new openness to our relationship that's just like, like I said, our relationship was like fine and it was good and all of this, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like this deep soul connection where I felt truly seen and now I do. And I feel
Yeah.
like he feels truly seen
Yeah.
and so we're operating from a different space than we were before.
Yeah, that is it's so cool. I'm so first of all happy for you guys and very inspired by that and yeah, I just think that it's like that would be just so scary. And if you were not living in your personal best truth in life, like, I don't know how you could do that. Like, that could be possible to have a conversation like that if I personally wasn't aligned with like myself, you know?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have. I probably would have just done shitty behavior and we would have separated,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I
because
do.
it's like you kind of have that decision in life. And so, yes, I think the ultimate takeaway from stemming from true alignment with yourself, like everything just kind of feels right,
I've been saying since I was married and then like after you're not married, when you've been married, you're like, oh God, marriage, oh my God, like don't, but now I've had time to recover and I see marriage again like has value and there's so much good about it. And especially like I think like the point is we get to grow in a capacity that we wouldn't without it, like in a marriage, like not in a marriage, in relationships in general, like, but align with yourself first, right? And then
Mhm.
like if I was to ever have vows again, I always say my vows would be something like, um, I promise to always tend to myself and my feelings and um show up as the best I possibly can show up and do whatever it takes so that I am continuously, you know, taking care of myself that way so I can be the best I can. Like I would promise to myself first, right? So that you can guarantee that I'm a partner that you're not going to have to take care of in that way. Like I'm emotionally handling, and then we could truly be there to support each other because I'm going to keep aligning with my deepest truth. I'm going to keep being
Mhm.
honest. I'm going to keep, and whereas like I could see where wasn't doing that in my previous relationship.
Mhm. It's true, and I think that's also true with parenting too. Loving yourself and putting yourself first before even your kid, you know what I mean? Like, just
Yeah.
trusting
Hmm.
and filling up your cup, and, like, it's important to like, my son doesn't like when I'm gone at night, but sometimes I go out to eat with my girlfriends, or I go to a meeting, and it's like, "No, I'm doing this because it's filling up my cup," or going on a date with my husband, it's
Hmm.
like, "You're gonna be okay, like, I need to take care of myself. I will be back.
Hmm.
You will be
Right.
fine."
Hmm. Yeah. Well, this has been, I mean, so good, obviously. But I want to hear just a little bit. We want to hear just what is lighting you up currently right now. I know you've got a lot of different things going on. I want to give you a chance to share. What are you offering currently? What would you like to shine some light on?
Well, there's so much.
I know. You know, I know.
Well, yeah, you can always I have Instagram, so it's styled by Lindsey, so you could always send me a message there and I can, fill you in on anything, or if you just have questions about what we talked about or whatever,
Mhm,
um, feel free to reach out. I would love to talk to you.
mhm,
And, I just got color analysis certified, so I can do people's colors, and I'm excited about that. So that is something new that I'm offering, and still the closet edits and shopping. I've also done, like, if people aren't in Santa Cruz, I've done virtual style bleh, closet edits.
mhm,
So we kind of just do it like this, and we go through the closet that way, and then I can send links to like a virtual styling. So that's an option if you're not local. And so recently too, I've been kind of moving my craft to people's interiors as well, and kind of redesigning their space with what they already have, just kind of moving stuff around, cleaning out areas, and then maybe just making, a couple new things, like let's do some new throw pillows, a new blanket, and maybe one piece of art, and instead of like feeling so overwhelmed of we have to redo the whole entire space. Like, yeah. And then I plan an event every year at Goat.
mhm.
It's where I teach classes. It's awesome. A holiday pop-up market. It's going to be December 6th this year from 1 to 4. And it just got nominated for best pop-up. So
Well, this could be on her probably her Instagram then. People can find out this stuff and connect with you and to if you want to work with Lindsay or if you want more Lindsay, that's where you can find her. Yeah, this has been a very beautiful conversation. If there was one thing you wanted viewers and listeners to take away, one thing you want to shine light on for more people just to remember or to know.
I think just self-love.
Yeah.
And yeah, how can you, like, what little things can you do to lift yourself up, like, because life is hard, and like, and we don't have control over, most of it. And so, like, what can you do to fill up your cup to show yourself love?
That's so beautiful, so aligned with everything about the Rise and Shine show. So, thank you so much for
Hmm.
sharing your heart today and being so vulnerable and open with us today. I think so much is gained by vulnerability, like you've mentioned. And I know people are going to feel inspired and uplifted in hearing this. So,
I
thank
hope
you.
so. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I feel honored.
Yeah, it's awesome having you. I'll have to do it again.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
thank you everyone for being here and bye for now.
Bye.